Alright, so in this lecture, we are going to be going over how to paint different materials. And for this first one, we're going to paint something shiny, something that has really reflective surface like a metal ball or something like that. So let's go ahead and jump in. We have this masked off so that all the layers we make will be in reference to this one that has the ball mask. And that makes us we don't have to worry about painting outside the line. So let's go ahead and get started. First, what we're going to do is we're going to start by painting this ball as if it was just a normal matte shaped ball. So I'm going to bring my value down a little bit darker so that I can paint in my my shadows here. So I'm using a big soft brush and I'm just painting it in from the bottom. I'm imagining the light source is coming from above. And then I'm going to switch back to my eraser and kind of fade it out a little more. Okay, then I'll go back to my brush. We're going to get our brush size a little smaller and go a little darker and just get the bottom there. Then I'm going to get my eyedropper tool, a little lighter so we can start doing the lit spot. Go a little bit lighter to our brightest spot. And that's as far as we are going to take it for this layer. So now we're going to go to a new layer here. And on this layer, we're going to start to paint in the background. So I'm going to color pick this table here because since this is a really reflective ball, it's going to be reflecting everything around it. So I'm going to let's use this hard round brush, and I'm going to bring the hardness down a little bit though, to about 65. Maybe more like 70. All right, and we are going to start painting in this background. Now, some things you want to think about when you're painting is that this is basically like a mirror, but the mirror is curved, so it's going to distort things around that curve. So the table here is going to be reflected in the bottom half because that's what the light is going to bounce off of, is the bottom half of this ball. And as it gets to the edges, it's going to get more extreme. The distortion gets more extreme along the edges of your object, whether it's a car or this ball here. The closer you get to the edge, the more extreme that distortion is going to get because it's turning away from you. All right, then we are going to let's get a little bit of a lighter color here to be right there along the sort of that horizon point of the table. I'm just color picking for my table down here so we can get these colors all inside of this sphere. And we can get a couple dark spots as well. When we have this knot of wood, we can put that in there. All right, cool. Let's go ahead now and Actually, really quick, I think that we could sort of clean up this transition here just a little bit. This curve. Alright, next we're going to do the green here. I'm just going to color pick some different parts of the green. Brush that in here. Once again, the closer it gets to the edges, the more it will distort. And the last part we're going to add is the sky, so that's going to kind of help determine it. But for now, we can kind of paint this in here kind of quick and easy. And you want to make sure that you're kind of matching up both sides. It should be pretty symmetrical for this, based off of our light source and the object itself being a ball. Okay. I think we could probably get that a little higher up on the ball there. On both sides. So like I said, it's really going to distort on the edges. Okay. Then let's go ahead and start picking just a few bits of variation for these leaves here. And I'll bring my brush size down and get some a little bit finer markings in here. I'm not painting it super crazy detailed. We just kind of need to suggest the reflection that's coming through. I was making these little marks. If you want, you could even just use a leaf brush, honestly. We're just going to keep it simple for this. The other thing too is that it's going to be, you won't be able to like see this a ton because we're going to kind of erase it out just a bit. You see around the edges here, those markings are going to get really elongated because of that distortion, and then slowly less so the closer they get to the middle. Okay, and let's do a couple more passes here. Some different colors. We'll do this light green color, and then we'll do more of that yellowish color here. Go. All right, perfect. And then now we're going to do the sky. So we don't have anything to color pick from for the sky because it's off the screen, but as the artist, we know it's there. So I'm going to start with a really light blue and almost white. That's where we're going to start for painting in the skyline. And we can just kind of start to go over that part of our green there. Okay, and then we can bring that green back up a little bit as it warps around those edges there. I'm going to get pretty much white. We're going to do a quick band of that right along where that sky kind of comes down. And then we'll get a little bit darker, more saturated blue to come in up top here. And we're just going to blend this like we learned in our blending lecture. All right. Next what I'm going to do, I'm just going to lower the opacity on this layer just a little bit so that we can see the, I mean, it'll be really subtle, but you'll be able to sort of barely see the lighting coming underneath. Then what we need to do, we're going to make a new layer that is underneath the ball layer, that is outside of our clipping mask. And this is going to be our shadow layer. I'm going to set it to multiply. And we'll go ahead and go with a slightly warm brown color. Get a nice big soft airbrush. About like that. Now that we have our shadow, what we can do is we can come back to the reflective layer and color pick our table now so that we can paint in what we want it to look like to make it a little more accurate with the reflection there. So the bottom of that is just going to darken up and then fade away just like it does on the table here. And then also because of ambient occlusion, it's going to get really dark right at the bottom. And then same with our shadow layer, we'll want to darken that up right there at the bottom too. Okay, and then the last thing we need to add, we're going to come to this chrome layer and we're going to get an eraser tool. You're going to get a nice soft brush, and the more something turns away from you, the more you'll be able to see its reflective qualities. The more something is facing you, the more subdued this is going to be. So like if you're outside and you look at a car, you'll notice that as the car turns away from you, maybe on the hood or the roof, it starts to reflect the sky more and looks sort of blue. But the parts that are parallel to you, that are facing the viewer, you get to see more of the true color of it. So we're going to sort of simulate that here a little bit just by lightly erasing out the middle portion of this sphere. Actually, you know what? This is supposed to be like high shininess, so for this one we can actually just leave it, honestly. We can do that on maybe like gloss. This one we can pull it off like that. The next thing we need to do though is do the final highlight. So we're gonna make one final new layer. Since this is so reflective and it's reflecting the sun, I'm gonna go all the way white with it. I'm gonna pop that highlight in right there in the sky where we would imagine it would be. Actually, you know what? Let's do a little bit of it, because it's gonna have a little bit of a corona first. So let's do that. Create that corona. And then we'll do the highlight. And a little trick for doing highlights that look really hot is making the corona a barely warm color and then making the actual brightest light part a cool color. And it gives this effect that feels like, it makes it feel like if you look at the sun too long, and it kind of makes things look, I don't know what the word is. You might have experienced it. I think though we need to make the corona a little lighter. Let me go back. I mean, they should pretty much be the same. One should just be warm and the other one should be cool. Probably make it a little smaller too. Alright, and then go to blue and make it hard. There we go. Perfect. So you can see it kind of makes that weird, almost like vibrating effect when you look at it, like if you've ever looked at the sun, which if you haven't, good for you. Don't start now, but if you have, you'll know what I'm talking about. So there we go. Reflective surfaces, the way to make them look really realistic is to really nail that distortion and to make sure that you're picking up everything that would be in the reflection. So if you really want to make this even more realistic, I mean, it looks fine how it is, but if you want to really detail those leaves out and pick up every single little detail in there, it can make it look a lot more realistic. But there you go. That is it for painting shiny surfaces, and I will see you guys in the next lecture.